So first we're going to briefly explain the procedures involved in embryo transfer. Second to artificial insemination and probably attempts to freeze equine semen, embryo transfer has been around since the early 70s, and I think was probably started by some of the students and professors and veterinarians at the Equine Reproduction Lab at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. Fortunately, at least as far as I'm concerned, I graduated from Colorado State University in 1973 and was exposed to many of these techniques as they were just originating into commercial application. Some of them have survived the test of time, some of them have been modified, and some of them we don't do anymore. So the techniques involved in embryo transfer have evolved quite a bit since the early days, when flushing a mare's uterus and searching 3 liters of fluid for hours in an attempt to recover an embryo, and then a surgical procedure through the flank of the recipient mare to deposit that embryo in the uterine horn of the recipient mare has changed greatly. Now the embryo flush of the donor mare to recover the embryo goes through a filter, which is washed into a filter dish, which is searched with a microscope, and recovery of the embryo is a much easier and more rapid procedure than it used to be. Secondly, the transfer of the embryo into the uterus of the recipient mare is now non-surgical. The embryo is loaded into a gun, actually loaded into a straw, which is then loaded into a transfer gun, and the transfer gun is introduced through the recipient mare's cervix, and the embryo is deposited hopefully in the body or in the horn of the recipient mare's uterus, and there's no surgery. The technique is very simple, is very rapid, and nowadays is very successful. So as far as embryo transfer goes, surgery is no longer a necessity, and results have improved as the years have gone by, to where now there are many embryo transfer centers around that have recipient mare herds. There are also many veterinarians, either with a hospital or even ambulatory, that are flushing embryos from mares and sending them to an embryo transfer center that has a recipient herd. So we'll go over those options as we get into detail on embryo transfer. The next subject will be oocyte transfer.